What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for a discussion about the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm your host today, Alex Van Aken, and I'm joined by Marcus Stewart. How are you, Marcus?
I'm feeling good. I'm in a really good mood today. I'm always in a good mood when I'm podcasting with you guys.
Hell yeah. Oh, I'm glad you're in a good mood. I am too, because we are rounded out today by Wesley LeBlanc.
Hello.
How you doing, Wes?
I'm doing great.
What's up?
Excited to be here. Talk about some
Hell
games and other things.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you're on the right podcast for that.
Yay.
Because we do talk about games around here. How's your week been? I feel like I haven't talked to either of you in...
Since last week when we recorded?
I guess so, yeah. It seems a lot longer. It seems a lot longer.
You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say.
Yes.
It's good. I'm prepping for a vacation I'm taking soon.
Ooh, that's nice.
Go recharge the batteries.
Yeah.
It's funny because I wasn't totally consciously aware when I planned this, but I'm kicking it off in the best way because this weekend is WrestleMania, as I alluded to last week.
Oh,
yeah.
So, you know, that's very much up my alley. 2 nights of awesomeness. And then
we did confirm you're wrestling in WrestleMania, which is why
yes,
you're probably taking vacation.
Well, because Bray Wyatt dropped out, you know, we don't know what's going on with that, so I had to take his place to fill up a spot on the card. Triple H gave me a call, and it's like, we need you.
Okay, yeah,
I
get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I wish you the best. I will be rooting for you. I've got one of those big foam fingers I'll be wearing in your honor. Yeah, it'll be nice.
Hopefully it's a good finger. A flattering finger.
Yeah, it is. I was at PAX. I don't know if you can tell, I'm sick.
Oh no.
Yeah, again. I've been sick twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, this month I feel like you've been.
Yeah, how does that happen? Your immune system's supposed to give you
the first one was a stomach virus. This one's a head cold.
So
I guess they're two different things, and my immune system's just like, I guess this is us now. I don't know. But I was at PAX East, which is where I got this. Luckily,
PAX Plague.
Yeah, luckily I'm testing negative for COVID still, so hope that, fingers crossed, it stays the case. But PAX East was awesome. I got to see a lot of old friends. I met some fans of the Game Informer show that came up to me throughout the show.
Oh, nice.
A few of them. So
did they give a 5-star review?
I hope so. I didn't ask. I should have had them pull their
personally,
phone.
They said,
yeah. Hey, can you pull your phone out and go to Apple Podcasts for me real quick? And then I write the review myself on their phone. No, so that was cool. I was on a panel about video game music. It was standing room only. Like, we packed out a pretty big room.
People hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you watch that anywhere?
Yeah, it was streamed on the main Twitch channel, or main PAX Twitch page.
Okay.
Or the PAX 3 Twitch page. But yeah, it was Saturday night. It was 6 p.m. Yeah.
Were you ranking soundtracks and stuff, or what?
We each picked a soundtrack from a game and went head to head. Mine was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Interesting choice. That's a good one. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. I had a lot of passionate Donkey Kong fans come up to me afterwards, and they were very sour. It didn't go my way.
They think
passionate
service.
Yeah, exactly. I did play a few games I wanted to talk about real quick. If that's cool. I just went for PTO. I didn't go for work, but I still wanted to go and play new games and just see what was new on the show floor. I played Demon School. Which one of you played that in a preview?
I don't think I have.
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's this tactical, turn-based, tactics game, but it's like narrative-driven as well. It's got a really cool art style where it's all 3D. Well, a lot of the levels are 3D and have like that cool distorted pixel effect, kind of like a Signalis did, right? But like the character sprites are like 2D pixel art. So it's a cool style. It's being published by Eastbird Games, They did like World of Horror and a couple other things.
Yeah.
And Necrosoft Games is developing this. But yeah, it's a tactics RPG, and it was a lot of fun. It's like very gory and like very horror driven. They're like playing as these 4 young adults who are stuck in hell. And yeah, I think they're also like they're at a university on like this weird island. I don't know. It's wacky, but I really liked it. It kind of gave me like Saturday morning cartoon vibes if Saturday morning cartoons were gory and giant skulls that exploded into blood and eyeballs were also a thing.
I think that's Saturday morning as in like 1 a.m.
Yeah, it's actually morning with a U. Yeah, Saturday morning with a U. But yeah, I enjoyed it. One of the characters couldn't attack. They could only heal. You know, typical like certain enemies are weak to certain elements, and certain characters, have different attributes and special abilities. Yeah, it's standard fare, but I thought like the presentation it was all packed in was really fun. And it was also like it was pretty challenging. I think they definitely had one of the characters like cranked up to 11 in terms of stats. Like he dodged I was down to 1 character, and for like 7 turns he avoided every attack that went his way. I was like, clearly this guy's on like god mode or something.
The luck stat is 100.
Yeah, but I played this like big boss fight where it was this giant like eldritch skeleton that was summoning these waves of enemies, and also the skeleton would like sweep the battlefield, so you had to like be moving out of the way of his attacks, and then he would like claw the ground, and if you hit like 3 of his fingers when he clawed the ground, like if your next turn you took out those fingers, then you would expose like his weak point, which was his skull would split in 2, and this giant nucleus eye brain looking thing would plop out onto the ground, and you had to go up and hit that, and that's how you did damage to the boss. It was cool. I liked it a lot. So that was Demon School.
Is that coming out this year?
Let me check the Steam page real quick. I believe it just says coming soon on Steam. It doesn't say 2023 or anything, so I imagine it's sort of like one of those when it's ready situations.
Yeah.
I played Mina the Hollower again. It was mostly the same build we had, but there were new weapons. So I tried out the hammer. I tried out the daggers. That was cool. I mean, it was the same press demo we've all seen before. If you want to see that demo, you can go to YouTube, GameInformer.com. YouTube.com/GameInformer, excuse me. Sorry. And we've got the whole demo up for there. But yeah, there were a couple new weapons and stuff like that. So it was cool catching up with the Yacht Club people. Oh, I did play. This might be my game of the show in terms of what I personally played. Pacific Drive.
Yeah.
Ooh, you got to
I got to play it.
What?
Yeah.
Very
so
jealous.
you wrote a preview for that, Wes, right? Recently?
Yeah, it was a virtual hands-off thing. They just showed me 30 minutes of gameplay, which was cool to look at, but that kind of game, as I'm sure Alex learned, like you do want to play it, I think, to get a feel of what it is.
Yeah, I played for about 20 minutes or so. I'm curious if it's the same build they played for you. I was like, it started off, I was at a gas station.
With like a garage and stuff?
Yeah, I wasn't in the garage. I was outside at like a gas pump, and there was like a Volkswagen that I had to repair before I could start. But man, that game is going to be really cool, I think. I loved playing it.
That's your one vehicle in the game. It is that Volkswagen. It's like the hatchback car. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I was confused on, I didn't realize you could get out of the car in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I was under the impression you were just in the car the whole time. And I talked to a couple other people that were under the same impression. But no, like you're getting out, you're going and scavenging parts from other vehicles.
You got to repair your vehicle like on the fly. And yeah.
Like at one point I was missing a door. So like I went and found like this, broken down car, and it didn't have anything really on it, but it did have one door. And so I had a tool that I detached the door and picked it up and put it on my car and installed it. I found like armor plates for my car. It was a lot of fun. I also really like the interior of the car.
Yeah.
And how there's like the map is diegetic. It's like in game. you've got like a panel console next to you that you're referencing, and you have to like physically turn your character's head to like look at the map, and then that's like your eyes are off the road when you're doing that, so it's like, oh, I gotta kind of go back and forth, make sure I'm not driving into. I like the hazards that were on the road. You could drive into like these like spike pits, like demons. I don't know, not
Yeah,
demon, but
anomalies,
like,
I think is what.
anomalies, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, there's like just a chainsaw that is like, you know, I just felt like I was in like a old like retro shooter or like a platforming game, like where there's like, oh, now there's spikes,
Yeah.
but like it's in this driving game.
What was the driving like? Because it seemed, I mean, I don't know. When I'm driving in first person, it's chaotic because like I usually just drive third person in games. So I was curious, like, does it feel good to drive first person? Do you feel like you can maneuver easily?
I'm typically somebody who also avoids first person. I feel like the field of view is always a little too obscured.
Yeah.
Or a little too narrow, I guess. But no, it felt really good. I thought I could tell the differences when I was driving on different surfaces as well. Like even like going from like dirt to mud was noticeable. I could really tell when one of my tires was damaged. It was pretty like it was easy to navigate in the sense that like I was never like going off the path that I was trying to be on unless there was something wrong with my car or it was intentionally like rough terrain. But like in general, I got to where I wanted to go and was able to navigate, you know, the environmental challenges appropriately.
Nice.
But yeah, I came away really positive from Pacific Drive.
Was the radio on? We didn't get to hear the radio, and a lot of us asked like what the music selection is going to be because that seems like a vibe part of the game, and they didn't tell us anything.
I had my headphones off for half of it, to be fair, because I was talking to the developer.
Gotcha.
Is that game like a period piece? Like, is it set during a specific era to where the soundtrack would be?
We asked, and they did not tell us specifically, but I get the sense it's like 80s or 90s. But it's tough to say. It's just an old car, and it looks 80s or 90s to me, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if like the soundtrack would be a big part of selling the time period. I was like, what tunes can I expect? Some
the car almost reminds me of the Ghostbusters car, the Volkswagen. Is that just from the new movie, or is that from the old ones too?
Well, the Ecto 1 is a hearse that they repurposed into the Ecto 1.
Yeah,
like in the canon.
Volkswagen.
Yeah, I'm not a Ghostbusters guy. I'm just trying to relay what it looked like. Okay, yeah,
but you know, similar body.
It's that vibe. It's that vibe of the Ecto 1 where there's like
they got a big
weird gadgets hanging out.
Yeah.
And like it's this older car that has these futuristic gadgets attached. Similar vibe.
That game feels like it's going to be a sleeper. Like a sleeper hit potentially, because every time
I hope it's not a sleeper hit because it's cool as hell.
Well, yeah. I say that because it's one of those games that when I think about titles I'm excited for, it never pops to the front of my mind, and I think because we don't see it that often. But then every time it does make an appearance or somebody does a preview like Wesley, and I'm like, man, this sounds cool. Like every time it gets a little bit cooler and cooler, and it's like, this is gonna be a thing. Hopefully, this seems like this has potential, and I feel like just gauging the reactions to it, it seems to be getting more traction of like that hype.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think they're self-publishing it too. Ironwood Studios.
Yeah,
they actually made the studio to make this game.
It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive too, I think.
Yeah, it's slated for 2023. Yeah.
Okay, and you said it's a PS5 exclusive, Wes?
Console exclusive, yeah, and then it'll be on PC as well. But
yeah,
because I think PlayStation revealed it at that State of Play in September last year. I think they need to show more because I do get the sense it'll be a sleeper hit because it seems like a very cool game, and based on what Alex is saying, having played it in my preview of it, it is one to watch for. But like they need to put more info out because I don't think people have a good grasp of what it is yet.
Yeah. I like I said, Pacific Drive, probably my game of the show. Really liked it.
That's awesome. You got to play it. Very jealous.
Yeah, it was cool. I wish I had that build that I could just play at home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a roguelite too, which I don't know if we mentioned, but or maybe
Yeah.
roguelike.
Or not roguelike. It's just run based.
Run based. That's
so
what,
you're
yeah,
going
yeah.
back to the garage. Yeah, I don't think it's roguelike.
I was gonna say they missed an opportunity by calling it a road light.
That's funny, actually. Yeah. No, I think it is run based.
Yeah.
But I think they're. Yeah, I'm not sure the structure.
If you like fail, you drop some of your materials, not all of them, and you can go back and get them.
Okay, so yeah. Okay.
Just like real life. You know, like when you get into an accident and then collecting your materials is getting your insurance claim. It's kind of similar. Yeah.
Figuring out your new
life is a
insurance
roguelike.
bill.
Yeah, exactly.
And then lastly, I played Friends vs. Friends, which is a 1v1 card-based shooter.
It's that crazy art style one.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I love the art style.
Isn't that God, is someone I'm trying to think like this, isn't it like a big indie studio making that?
Raw Fury's publishing it.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of Raw Fury themselves. I forget. It's like I felt like it was coming from like a known.
The developer's Brainwash game. I don't think I recognize.
Okay, because I am vaguely aware of this game. Like I know I've seen it.
Yeah, it's been making the rounds on like Twitter as well for like Screenshot Saturday and that kind of thing. But it combines a 1v1 FPS with deck building. And hear me out. It's a lot of fun. It was between this and Pacific Drive for my game of the show. I really liked this thing. Some of the cards will give you like, oh, now you have poison rounds in your pistol, but each of you start in this symmetrical 1v1 arena. And for instance, I played in a train station against my friend Mike, and the cards I had were, they're randomized, and I think you only have a limited amount in your deck. So like if you spend all of yours in the first round, you're going to have less later on.
That's cool. Are you choosing your cards, or are you going through them in like a neon
like are you
white
building
way?
I think you're building a deck. In my demo, I had a pre-selected deck, but I believe you're going to be building your own deck. So like one of my cards was, it made his head big, so like he was easier to hit. One of the rounds, and actually the round that like won me the match, was we were on this train station, right? And if you jump into the subway, like the train pit, the train can run you over. Well, he had jumped into the subway line, and I activated a card that made it so he couldn't jump. And so he got stuck and got ran over by the train, and I won the match.
That's awesome.
And then there's other ones that are like, activate this card to get a shotgun, or activate this to place down a landmine.
Yeah, it's hard not to think of Neon White a little bit.
Yeah.
I know
definitely.
It doesn't sound like as much of a platformer,
it's not,
but just the shooting and card, like even the way the UI is laid out.
It's really the deck is your inventory that is randomized, and it's a fun way to do that. But yeah, it's not like discard this card to sprint or to like soar through the air. Like it's not a platform like Neon White.
Yeah.
It's very zany. I really like the art style. I think it's an art style that like some people are gonna hate. It's really up my alley.
It's kind of like cell shaded.
Yeah, cell shaded. Like there's a grime to it, right?
Kind of like it's got like an indie graphic novel sort of look to it.
Yeah, I really dig it. It's very vibrant, and just kind of a little dirty, and
a
really
little
like
pixelated that. Too, like purposely. Like it's
yeah,
like it almost goes for like a not quite like PS1 era, but there's like a low resolution on the textures that definitely harkens that era a little bit.
Yeah, and everything's like outlined in black. So it's got like everything pops and is like, it looks like a dirty pixelated cartoon in some ways.
Yeah, it comes on during the same time as Demon School. It comes on at 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's like if Borderlands was made in the PS2 generation or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
I really liked it. Again, it's called Friends vs. Friends, published by Raw Fury, and I think I'm looking to see if there's a release date. No, it just says coming soon. It was pretty polished. I really liked it. I hope to see more of that game this year. I think I would really, really enjoy that. Please release in 2023. Maybe not. There's already so many big games. But yeah, so that was my time at PAX East. I got to see a lot of great friends. I got to see Matt, our podcast editor, again and hang out. So that was cool. It was a great time.
Yeah, you guys seem like the group at PAX. I kept like if I saw a picture or tweets or whatever, like I was like,
I think to be fair, I think
group.
Every group at PAX feels like the group at PAX. Yeah,
I wanted to
everybody.
be in your guys' group.
Well, you could have been if you come.
Did you win karaoke? You swore that you would last week.
They didn't have a lot of the songs I wanted to sing, but I did sing "Burnin' Up" by the Jonas Brothers.
That's a good one. Did it have the rap?
Yes, and Cam Hawkins did the rap.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that was PAX. It was cool. I wish like we as a company did PAX more.
I would love for us to do a panel one day.
Yeah, right?
That'd be awesome.
Just the GI panel. Let us know if you want that, listeners. Should make it happen.
That's untapped potential. No other site's doing that from what I've seen. That'd be cool to do like a Game Informer panel.
Give out Game Informer golds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Look at us workshopping ideas on a podcast.
I know. Well, yeah, that was PAX East. Wes, you've been playing a video game I was really looking forward to.
Were you, Alex?
I was intrigued, right?
I remember we talked about this in a previous episode, and I think I shared your excitement, but it was an ironic excitement. And I felt like the same.
Wes, you reviewed Crime Boss Rockay City.
Yeah. Sure did.
Yeah.
It's
hear the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
What's up with that game?
Well, for 20 to 24 hours, I'd put time into a game that is probably easily the worst game I've played since I've been at GI. Possibly the worst game I've played as an adult who like looks at things critically. It is a mess on almost every single level. So basically what this game is, if you don't
and for reference, this is that like FPS that has like every actor from the 80s under the sun.
It had that very awkward Game Awards presentation with Michael Madsen and the security guards.
Yeah.
Where it looked like even they weren't sure what the bit was.
I'm still not sure that this game knows what it is after playing a lot of it. So basically what it is, or says it is an organized crime strategy game. That's also a roguelite and a first-person like heist game. So the strategy part is you have a map and there's like 30 different turfs to win, and you try to get all of them to complete your run and become the crime king of Rockay City. So that's really,
as one does.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, happens all the time. You basically like select your missions there, and sometimes you're attacking and defending your turf from rival gangs, and other times you are playing these missions. Almost every mission boils down to steal something and get away in your van, which could be cool. You know, there's games that build entire, experiences around that, like Payday or even Grand Theft Auto 5 and all their heists. But these missions are lacking any fun or challenge or anything. Like there are missions where the bonus objective is like complete this in 7.5 minutes, and so I boot in, I've got my 3 gang members with me, and I just walk right up to the loot, take it, and I'm in my van maybe 50 seconds later. I don't know what the game thought that mission was going to be, but it was simple, easy. And the thing is it wants you to like be stealthy. It thinks that it's like stealthy in like an immersive sim way, blow up gas cans or throw rocks to get people over here. But instead, it's just a level is littered with like 10 NPCs who all look basically the same. Most of them are the same model, I would say. And you can get right behind them and stealth kill them, which the game like pushes you to do. But then the second you do that, you have your man in your ear, Nasra is his name, who scolds you, and then you get in trouble for killing people. So you're not supposed to kill people, but you're stealthing, blah, blah, blah. Then you make your way into a warehouse or a bank or some nondescript location, and you just take loot and it puts it in bags, and then you carry the loot back to the van, which could be fun, but there's no excitement. There's no systems interplaying with each other. Like, you really are just either sprinting straight there, grabbing the loot and leaving. And you can do that often without getting caught because the NPCs are like 2005 stupid. Like, they might as well be.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what's the level of resistance you're facing?
There's no real resistance that feels fair. Like, the game is not interacting with you on a fair level. There is resistance, and that sometimes when you do get caught, all of a sudden these become the most difficult NPCs ever. Your weapons do nothing to them. They just charge you. You're surrounded by like 20 NPCs out of nowhere. Cops start showing up, and you have like a heat meter, like GTA style. Then the SWAT team shows up. My NPCs rarely did anything. Sometimes they wouldn't even follow me through the level. They would just be sitting at the front of the level, and I'm walking through, and then I get bombarded. Like, I rarely felt, when I failed a mission or died, I rarely felt like it was my fault. And that's just like on a gameplay level. Like, none of the systems work together. It's not fun. It's agonizingly boring. Every mission is basically the same, and often you will be doing the exact same mission, even though it's a different mission. But you will load into the level, and you'll be like, I have robbed this bank before. Everything, all the objectives are the same. I have to do the exact same thing I just did an hour ago. And you do that a lot because it's a roguelite. So you're going to see the same missions a lot, and it gets really boring really quickly, especially because cutscenes play before them. I didn't mention this in my review because it might be my PC, but I had really bad load times. Like, I actually kept a book beside me to read during the loading.
Oh my God.
Like, it was like,
You finished War and Peace in the time
yeah.
you reviewed this.
It was like minutes of loading. So yeah, for me, like, the game did not work on a basic, like, how do these systems interact with each other level. And then the worst part was that there was like bugs on top of that, making it even more difficult to play. So the worst defender, your turf will be attacked and you have to defend it. And in my experience, most of the time, I had more turf attacks than I was able to handle. And so I would always lose turf by default each day. And it felt not fair. There was no system in place to like allow me to defend myself, because you only get a certain number of soldiers to defend with. And let's say I have 30 soldiers. I can't get any more, but the game will be like 3 people are attacking your turf, but it requires 30 soldiers to defend one. So I'm giving up those other 2 by default. And it happened. I was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not upgrading. No, I'm hitting max soldiers. And then I start a new day, because you go day by day. And like, the game just sends turf I can't defend. So I'm losing turf by default. And for whatever reason, with these turf missions, when I load in, you have to defeat all of their enemies. And it tells you like, there's 20 enemies here, defeat them all. And then the captain comes out, you defeat him. Could be cool. But every time I loaded into one of these turf defense missions, the enemies would be invisible and only their guns would be floating in the air. So now I'm having...
That's just John Cena.
Yeah, 30 John Cenas. So now I'm having to defend my turf against 30 enemy soldiers that I have to kill in order to defend my turf, or I lose it to that gang. But I can't see the enemies, and the visuals are so generic and nondescript that like the guns don't really stand out. So I'm just kind of spraying and hoping that I'm hitting people. And I often lost turf because of that. And it was like that one bug I wrote in my review was like it's like a domino that falls and knocks everything off, because I lose turf because of that bug. I lose a lot of money as a result. Now that I have less turf, I'm making less money each day. So I don't have the money I need to replenish my forces. So the next day, when the game throws 3 enemies attacking my turf, I don't have the soldiers I need to defend the turf. And it's just like, it all falls apart because of that bug. And it was extremely frustrating. There were updates while I was playing the game. Still hasn't been fixed at the time of this recording. And then, captions were incorrect often. If you paused during cinematics or cutscenes, often the game would pause, the visuals would pause, but the audio would keep playing. And then when you unpaused, now it's out of sync.
What?
Menus were freezing on me. I'd have to exit out. Like the UI menu would freeze, like trying to find a mission or something would freeze. So I'd have to exit out to the main menu. Bugs galore, which they can fix that. Sure. I don't even think this game is worth touching when those things are fixed, because none of it is fun. It's repetitive. It's boring. And it was like, I couldn't believe, it felt like a video game that you'd see in a movie or a TV show. Like, it's that generic, that fast. Like, I do a mission and 30 seconds later it's over. And I'm like, there was no challenge. The game was not pushing back against me. am I missing something here? Like, and I don't think I am, because after 24 hours, I've experienced this same game the same way. And then on top of all that, this cast is the cast names are cool, but their performances, and I don't necessarily think it's their fault. The writing is terrible, but like terrible performances. Often it sounded like I was joking with a friend. I was like, it feels like they like used Cameo to get these celebrities to perform lines and then just inserted those lines into the game. Sometimes it sounds like they're recording on a phone. Other times, studio quality. Never
so
did.
Say we might have buried the lead a little bit, because this is the game that has like a giant star-studded cast of people you might have really liked in the 80s and 90s.
Yes, Michael Madsen, Chuck Norris, Kim Basinger, Danny Trejo, Vanilla Ice, Michael Rooker, Danny Glover. I think that's everybody, but their performances are really, really bad. Vanilla Ice is he's like one of the gang leads. His character is very annoying and just calls, like, there's a scene where when you first meet him, he's talking with a guy like in a rap booth or like a studio booth, and this girl's talking, and then he's like, shut up, bitch. And then she stops talking, and then she talks again, and he's like, what did I tell you? Shut up, bitch. And then they keep going, and then she says something again, and then him and the other guy turn around, and the camera like zooms in on them, and they're like, we said shut up, bitch. Like it felt, I mean, I don't know if they're trying to evoke. Is that
90s. Supposed to be a joke?
I don't know. And then Michael Rooker's character calls like every enemy like fruitcake. There's a con gang that they just call the Asian gang, and they call them savages and commies, and like all the typical like jokes you'd make like in a really like crappy 90s movie are here, but like not the fun ones you remember from 91s. It's the ones where it's like we left that language like behind in the 90s.
Yeah, or it's like the ones trying to chase the success of those movies that were actually good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like
it's the double team of video games starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman.
It feels like they're going for like that GTA style of like crude and like explicit humor, but they're missing the like edge and the satire that like makes GTA succeed in doing that kind of writing. Here it just like comes off as like crass and at times offensive and just lazy. It's just lazy writing. Like the jokes never landed. I was not smiling or laughing at any of these supposed jokes. And also like hearing Michael Rooker's character, whose name is Captain Touchdown, call the Chico game a bunch of fruitcakes like every single mission is just like, dude, like it's just such lazy writing. Or like God, I'm trying to think of some other things like that. But yeah, it was just cringe, like very cringe.
Can I ask who Captain Fruitcake or what was it? What is he called?
Captain Touchdown calls everyone else fruitcakes.
Okay, so his frequency of the use of fruitcakes versus crispy critters, which one is more grating?
There's more crispy critters in Atomic Heart.
Okay.
But you do hear fruitcake a lot. And they like, it's just weird. Like, I don't know who these jokes are for. Like, they comment that one of the gangs like smell, like they make fun of the fact that they wear like cologne a lot or perfume. It's just like such weird humor, and it doesn't work. At least it didn't work for me, and I don't think, I mean, maybe it works for other people, but I don't know. I did not like it. And then on top of that, the performances are terrible. Like they don't sell these characters well at all.
That's kind of why. Are they terrible in the sense that it seems like they didn't care? Like the celebrities
I don't think
interested.
Yes, that for sure. Chuck Norris is like
the best,
phoning it in for sure. Michael Madsen's probably the best, but he also has the most to work with. Kim Basinger is really only there for Michael Madsen to like flirt with. Michael Rooker, his Captain Touchdown, is like your strong man in your gang, or like right-hand man type of person. But he's just, I mean, it's just Michael Rooker. Like he's just kind of screaming and, profanities and shooting at people. And Michael Madsen's, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a shame because we didn't know what this game was. We got that one trailer and that was basically it. So I don't know what this game was supposed to be, but I would say none of it worked for me at all.
Yeah, the roguelike thing throws me off because I don't remember if that was clear in that first trailer. I think everyone walked away thinking it was just like a Payday clone with celebrities.
Yeah,
And it
that's
sounds like it's not really that.
that's the impression I got. And the roguelite thing is, this game would be better if it was not a roguelite. Like if you were just completing these missions, it wouldn't be that much better, because I think the missions are boring and repetitive and lacking in fun, even when you're playing with like real life players. But it's the roguelite is like, it's such a strange design choice to me. And I wrote this in my review, which should be live now if you're listening to this, but if not, it's going live soon. When you die, which again, as I mentioned earlier, never felt like my fault. It felt like the game failed me. Like there was nothing I could do to be better at that run. It was always like, oh, this bug screwed me, or oh, all of a sudden 30 SWAT members showed up out of nowhere from helicopters. I just had no chance to survive. Every time you die, Chuck Norris, who's the sheriff of the town, like looks at the screen at you and breaks the fourth wall, and he's like, what? I told you I was going to get you. What did you do wrong this time? What did you, how did you mess up this time? What went wrong this run?
Like a PSA?
Yes. Like he's breaking the fourth wall, asking me why I failed this run. And it's infuriating because it never felt like my fault. So I'm like, Chuck Norris, shut up. This wasn't my fault.
We've all wanted to tell Chuck Norris to shut up.
Yes. And yeah, like do not spend money on this game. Like I would don't play it. Even if you're like, well, I want to see, like, this sounds kind of crazy. You're not even going to find enjoyment on this is bad level. Like it's just bad. It's not worth your money. It's not worth your time. I don't think there's anything worth checking out here. And I'm sure somebody has uploaded clips of the terrible dialogue and cutscenes on YouTube, so you don't even have to worry about not seeing that.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that stuff. Do you know if this game's coming to Game Pass? Because it seems like it should or would.
I don't know. It's supposed to come out on console later. It's just PC right now.
I didn't know they were doing a staggered release.
Yeah, okay. And they need to take their time because the PC version was pretty buggy.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence, Wes, you know.
I mean, don't say I didn't warn you. Like
I'm kidding.
It's the fruitcake stuff that really sold you.
Yeah. I haven't looked at
being scolded by Chuck Norris.
I haven't seen too much other reviews just because I don't think this was like a big release. But I would be shocked if anybody is like thrilled on this. It doesn't feel like it's one of those situations where the game didn't click with me and I didn't like it and maybe it will click with others. It generally feels like, no, this is bad. This is something's wrong here. Like this game is missing a lot of focus and time and effort. I shouldn't say that. The developers worked hard on this game, I'm sure, but somewhere in the process, it turned out to be just a massive dud for me.
Yeah. It seems like they're trying to sell it more on name value than, quality.
Which is kind of crazy to me because the performances are really bad. So like if you boot this up, you're going to be like, oh, I'm so excited for these characters from the 90s and 80s. And then you hear them and you're like, oh no, this is not good.
What score did you give it?
Right now it's going to be a 3, I think. Review's not up yet. Could change, but
it'll be up by the time people listen to this probably. But
yeah.
As of this recording, you're kind of sitting at a 3.
Yeah. Which is painful on our review scale, which is how I would describe my time with Rockay City.
Wow.
Well, I hope you're prepared for the Vanilla Ice diss track that's coming your way, Wes.
Bring it on, Vanilla Ice. His name in the game is
build a house around you and trap you.
His name in the game is Mellow Hielo, Hielo, based on the captions, which is
hello, Mellow hello.
Hielo is how they were saying it. Mielo, like they were going like Mielo Hielo. And Hielo, I'm probably saying that wrong, is Spanish for ice. So his name is like Mellow Ice. And I didn't have a place to put this in my review because it's very niche and like, reviews aren't about just like hitting every single point that you dislike about the game. So I didn't include this, but like when you're loading, there's like little world building things at the bottom of the screen. Like, oh, this city is famous for its canals. It's the second most like popular tourist destination outside of New York in the US or something like that. There was one that Mellow Yellow got his name because when he was a kid, he used to sell chilled ice on the street, like chilled water with ice. And that's how he got the name Mellow Yellow.
Because he sold ice water.
Because he sold ice water. And I was like,
I hate this.
what the heck is that? Like,
First of all, what lazy kid? Not even a lemonade stand. Just like, I got some ice water.
The thesis of that little fact was like, he's been a businessman since he was a kid. And I'm like, dude, he sold ice water. Like, that is not, I don't know, bad. Funny enough, Vanilla Ice's performance, like the actual words like coming out of his mouth, like sounded the best. Like wherever he recorded, good mic, and he was the most into his role, I think. Whereas the other people I felt like were just, I don't know if they knew they were in a game for real.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice is like, last I checked, he's like cool now, right? Like, I mean, like a good person, isn't he? Supposed to be pretty like all right, like build houses for people and stuff. Isn't that like his thing?
I don't know. That'd be awesome. He played at the fairgrounds by my house 2 years ago.
You do the ninja rap?
I didn't go.
But yeah, sounds like we shouldn't go to this game either.
Nope.
Yeah.
Do not go to Rockay City.
Oh man, that stinks. I was really looking forward to really enjoying the landscape of Rockay City. But Marcus,
hi.
What's another game about landscapes that's maybe good?
That reminds me of this cool game I've been playing recently called Terra Nil.
Oh, Terra Nil? What's that?
So it's like Rockay City if you remove the human beings and dialogue and architecture for the most part. And you just kind of started from the beginning. You just went back to basics, back to nature,
Oh, okay.
So this is a cool game it's been floating around for a good while. I believe you've played it too, Alex.
Yeah.
Where it's basically like a reverse city builder in that instead of constructing civilization, you're trying to restore nature to basically a wasteland. So, you're trying to grow grass, you're trying to establish rivers and trees, and you're just trying to
clean the oceans.
Yeah, like you're cleaning up the atmosphere and trying to basically make your plot of land suitable for living and for life. So I've only played a couple of, I guess, rounds, we'll say. But the way the game unfolds is that you get a map. It's just this dead patch of dirt.
Think like an empty StarCraft level.
Sure.
Like just barren, because you're in space, right? You're on a planet in space.
Are you?
You're on a planet. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess all planets are technically space.
Yeah, you're on this worthless patch of dirt, and you start out by having a very limited tools, and you have to meet certain conditions for the environment to unlock the next tool that you can add to the world. So you start out by having a machine that can remove poison from the soil so that you're able to grow stuff, and then from there you can grow grass. And every machine has like a set radius of how much you can do there. So like, I'm going to put the grass machine here. It can grow grass to a certain extent. And a lot of the strategy comes in trying to fill in as much of the space with grass as possible. So you're kind of having to strategically arrange your machines, almost like puzzle pieces of like, okay, if I start on the borders, then everything, going outwards is going to be covered. And then I'm going to put the machine just at the border of that so that there's no gaps between in terms of how much grass there is. And you get points that basically dictate how livable the environment is. And from there, you can get machines that
you can get like the you can get one that like creates river, like puts water into dry riverbeds.
Yeah, and
you can get one that like cuts new riverbeds with a laser. But then it's at the
expense of making the area around it. It basically destroys the land again, so you have to rebuild around it. So it's like a trade-off.
Yeah, and all of this is powered by like solar wind powered grids.
Yeah,
and you're
that's actually the
placing down
first
these
thing you do.
windmills. Yeah.
Yeah, because all the machines have to be near it to generate power from it. So you're kind of strategically putting down your sources of power so that all the other machines that depend on it can function. And so yeah, if you're playing the normal mode, it's a lot of it is trying to build the most livable and effective ecosystem with the limited sort of I guess points. I don't have a word for it, but you have an allotted amount of points, and every machine you put down spends those points. You have to be very thoughtful about, okay, if I put down this big tree, it's gonna sprout an entire forest, but first I have to do a controlled burn, and that's gonna, bring things down, but also it'll give me nutritious ash that I can use for other just structures or plants that rely on it. And it sort of becomes a balancing act as you unlock more systems, because eventually you'll get to the point where you're sort of managing the humidity levels of the land, and then like certain items can only survive at a certain threshold of the humidity. So I found this out the hard way, where I had a pretty lush landscape where I had different biomes where I was like, okay, I have wetlands over here by the rivers, and then on the opposite side I've got this giant forest. And as I'm adding more things, I'm watching the little sort of ticker go up, and you have this meter that dictates these optional objectives of like, oh, if your environment reaches this level of livability, then you'll get salmon that can swim in your rivers, or you'll basically get to create rain, and then rain will start happening, and then that can cause grass to grow on its own. But then there's one item where you can put bees' nests in the trees, and those help pollinate and basically create flower fields. But the bees can only survive if the world is in a certain humidity, and I had passed that, not realizing, because I was chasing sort of like the optional objectives where I was like, oh, I am making everything better, but I've also reached a point where I can't put bees down anymore, and one of the main objectives requires me to have a certain amount of flower beds. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And I still don't know. I haven't played enough to like, can I go back? Like, can I put something down that'll lower the, temperature or whatever it is to where I can put bees again?
You might be able to, depending on what level you're in, because every level has a different set of buildings, and some are like present in every level. But for instance, like the first world, there's effectively you can incinerate the land and buildings around an area.
Is it the controlled burn?
Yeah,
because I've done those
so
a few times.
I don't know if you can do a controlled burn in that area.
It didn't lower anything, or it didn't lower the requirement.
Or but could you do it to get rid of the buildings that are like helping you get high humidity, or did you not have those special buildings?
I don't think
that?
I've done it around like machinery, but it didn't seem to destroy that. It only seemed to destroy like foliage.
Okay.
But like the buildings I put down remained. I don't know if there are other buildings that are flammable, basically.
I think some of the buildings might be flammable.
Also, I didn't realize how like extensive the controlled burn was, where I thought it would kind of burn itself out after a while. And then the first time I used it, I watched it more as it just swept way past the area that I want to burn, and it just kept, because it'll pretty much go until it hits like a hard border, like a river. So, but if any greenery that's connected, it's like, it's kind of like setting fires in Far Cry, and you just kind of watch it go out of control. And I was like, oh, I hope this pays off, because this is way more than I thought it would be.
But then you get the cool forests you can build on top of.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I was having a heart attack of like, can I? Like, I had the Tiger King moment of like, I will never financially recover from this. all the reasons.
Then you unlock the arboretum, and all is right again.
I don't know if I have that yet. I'm trying to think of the last. I got like the cloud thing, like the machinery you put in the river, and it basically pumps humidity or CO2 or whatever it is into the atmosphere. It's like a really good shortcut to jack that meter up. I've gotten those. I might not be to the arboretum.
Have you gotten the thing that that dries the air out, or that increases the temperature?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I've only played like 3-ish rounds, but I'm enjoying it so far. It's very relaxing. You know, it's especially when you make it rain. I'm a person that loves rain. Like it calms me. So, and the rainstorms in that game, it's just very nice. You just listen to it,
Yeah.
and it's really cool to see the patches of land that you haven't covered in green yet, sort of like gradually speckle themselves in green as the rain's falling, and you're just like,
Yeah.
and then also the satisfaction of like, hey, I made that happen. I made the atmosphere viable enough to where rain can happen. That's cool. And also, it's just nice to, just the idea of taking something that's dead and bringing life to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like city builders, I it's weird. I like city builders, but I don't really play a ton of them. Like I've never played City Skylines, even though I've always intended to. But when I was a kid, I played a good amount of SimCity, especially in school when I wasn't supposed to.
Hell
But
yeah.
like I definitely have the mind for that sort of genre.
I'm in the same boat. I'm right there with you. Like I feel like City Skylines would probably be like right up my alley. I just have never played it.
Yeah.
But Terra Nil does scratch that itch. I'm in the second continent,
Okay.
which has like you're tasked with like restoring a coral reef.
Ooh.
So there's missions like objective.
Yeah.
Okay. See, my thing is I don't like city builders because I'm not a fan of just like building to build and seeing it go bigger and bigger.
No, you
So
absolutely, there is a goal.
That's cool.
And like
Okay.
Marcus said, there's a meter. There's like 3 stages to every area. So the first meter is establishing like base habitat, like grow grass and clean the water if there's water. That is because on the second world the water is filthy and you have to like purify it. And as you fill that base bar up, then a new set of more specialized terrain will have gauges. And so it's like, okay, I need to restore the coral reef. I need to restore a treetop canopy, beaches, and wetlands, right?
And
so
these are different planets you mentioned. So you're like doing one.
it's all on the same
It's all on the same planet, but they're different continents. Yeah.
Oh, continents.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Is the planet just straight up Earth? My impression is like, oh, is this Earth after we
It
messed
might
it up?
be. Yeah, it might be. I don't know. It's
Just
but
because
each
the
one-
animals are, Earth animals, like bees and birds will show up.
Yeah. Like the first continent is like very grassland, like plains, that kind of thing. Second one is like coral reef and like desert / coral reef and like jungle and beach. The third one, which I just got to, and I don't know what the others are, is like a volcanic glacier is what it says. And I haven't I saved my game and quit before doing it, so I don't know what's waiting for me. But each one has also had like a unique mechanic. Like for instance, on the second world, you have to set up a like a monorail throughout the biome, and you have to move buildings from one part of the area to another, to the middle of the ocean. And yeah, so like on that level, you have to create a building on land, fulfill the requirements for it, and then build this monorail network to then take it to the middle of the ocean to help the coral reef or whatever. It's really cool. Yeah, and each biome has like its own distinct flavor to it. It's really fun.
Where did you guys play this?
It's on PC. I'm playing it on PC. I believe it's also on mobile.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because I've just downloaded it on my phone because I saw it was that. I was curious if you guys had played mobile. Do you think it translates well to that, or do you think it's like a mouse and keyboard kind of game?
It's a game I definitely want on Switch at a certain point. It seems like perfect for that. Just lay in bed and do whatever. I bet
I want to play it on Steam Deck.
I mean, I guess can you?
I don't know.
Is it Steam Deck verified or whatever?
Let me.
I'm playing it on Steam, but yeah, it's out this week. It came out this week.
Yeah,
it's neat. Like I said, I just find it very calming. And it's also a great podcast game. I was playing a lot of it when I was watching Monday Night Raw. Very interesting dichotomy there. But yeah, it's something I want to play more of. Also, I think the animations are very satisfying. Like when you lay down that grass, grass making machine, and you see the sprinkler just explode, and then the green that follows it, you're like, yeah, get rid of that ugly dirt. Put some life here. It's cool. I'm definitely gonna keep playing more of it.
Yeah, I am too. I think this is gonna be one of the first games I finish of 2023. Nothing's really.
Have you not
kept
finished
my-
anything?
Very little. I'm sure I've finished some stuff, but I haven't played many of the big releases this year. I've just been, on that self-care grind, that Fortnite grind.
Yeah.
I like that self-care equates to Fortnite.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. But Terra Nil is very much like the thing. One of the games I've been waiting for. And I am looking on Reddit. It looks like and Steam Deck HQ, Terra Nil is a great strategy game that shines, and it runs well on Steam Deck. Okay, cool, great. That sounds like other folks have tried that out, and according to them, it works. So I'm excited. I think that's gonna be part of my plan.
Yeah, I just downloaded it on
Yeah.
my phone. You guys sold me. Sounds
Hell yeah.
very fun.
It's great. Again, it's spelled TERRA space NIL. Terra Nil. Devolver is publishing it. If folks
nice.
maybe that sparks people's memory. But yeah, Marcus, take us home. You've been playing Dordogne.
I was excited for this segment because I wanted to see how you would attempt to pronounce it.
I'm going with Dordogne.
I think you're correct. It is spelled Dordogne. It is a real life city, or not even city. I think it's like a small village in the countryside of France, which is.
Oh yeah, then it's got to be Dordogne, right? That sounds French.
I've only heard it pronounced twice in game, and both times it was two different characters and they sounded slightly different. So I was like, wait, which one's the right one? But yeah, I think Dordogne. If you want to
Dordogne.
Dordogne.
Mhm.
That sounds a little more Italian.
As someone
that
who's
like sure.
French, yeah, you're doing it.
Is
right.
that right?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't speak French, but
But you do. You are French.
yeah. My last name
Leblanc.
is French. Leblanc.
Leblanc. Dordogne.
Leblanc. Dordogne.
Leblanc.
playing
Living in
crime-
Dordogne.
Yeah. Every time
That
you
sounds
got
right.
angry at crime boss, you were like chocolate bleu
There
through your controller.
There were times where I didn't throw my controller because I don't do that, but I put the controller down out of fear.
I
might.
very angrily but calmly.
I've never
put the
thrown a
controller down.
controller.
No, me either. I
At
put it.
least
Oh
since
no,
I
my
was,
mom
like,
would have
not-
murdered me if I
Yeah,
did.
not
Yeah.
since I was like 6 years old. I don't think I've ever thrown a controller.
If I was
I don't
like
throw
the kids that
things.
like throw
have you ever
controllers-
heard
I
people that are
generally
like,
don't
yeah.
throw things.
You're like, yeah, I broke my controller in half because I was so angry.
Yeah, that
Like,
is not okay.
go to therapy.
Yes.
That's how I knew that who the rich kids were like, oh, you guys have controller throwing money, apparently.
Yeah.
Because even if
Yeah.
I wanted to, just
Imagine
that
the-
alone would
the
stop
people
me.
that throw
like,
controllers into TVs, dude. If I ever did that as a kid, I would not
Dude.
ever be like video games would not be a part of my life because my
You
parents
wouldn't
would
be
have
here
never.
anymore.
Yeah, I would be non-existent, Wesley.
your French parents would have flipped out.
Yeah, they would have sent me back to the.
They would have
to the
sent you to
homeland.
Dordogne
Yeah.
for boarding school.
But yeah, Dordogne, it's a game I've had my eye on for a couple of years now. It's been floating around for a hot minute. And it was playable at PAX and GDC. It's supposed to come out sometime this year by a French studio. It's being published by Focus Entertainment. And it's this really, really pretty narrative adventure game where you play as this young woman named Mimi who is taking a trip to her recently deceased grandmother's cottage or house in Dordogne. To the chagrin of her father, for whatever reason, there's a bit of a mystery where you're talking to your dad, and your dad and your grandmother have some sort of a strange relationship where they just didn't get along for whatever reason, and he's kind of against you going back, but you're kind of searching for answers for some reason. And there's an interesting hook because you go to the house, and for whatever reason, Mimi doesn't remember anything about her time there or the house. Like, she's just shy of being like, I had a grandmother. And it's weird because it comes off less of like regular memory loss and more like something else is at play there. But the game has this very pretty watercolor art style. Like every scene looks like almost like a storybook page, and you're navigating Mimi through the house. But the kicker is that every time you find sort of an object that recalls a memory, you're then taken back in time to a child version of Mimi, And that seems to be where the bulk of the game takes place, as she's reliving a memory where young Mimi spent a summer with her grandmother, Nora, and reliving the memories of that summer. You're going around, it's got like light point and click elements but it's actually really playful, where you interact with, say, a drawer, and you're, instead of just clicking it, you're like clicking and dragging to pull it out. There's more interactions, like, okay, I'm going to use a screwdriver to open this thing, so I'm going to click, drag it. I'm playing on a controller, spin the stick to turn, and then yank it back out. So a little bit more interactive in that sense. There's also collectibles like stamps you're finding, and you're filling out this sort of memory book of Mimi as a kid, where you get a camera at a certain point, you're taking pictures of stuff, and your grandmother's basically encouraging you to build, like I said, this scrapbook of memories, because Mimi as a kid wasn't happy to spend the summer there because she wanted to be with her friends. And it's just her kind of learning to form a relationship with her grandmother, who is said to be maybe a little abrasive, but also like loves you. And a lot of that is because of whatever problem she has with your dad. So yeah, I think the game is just piecing together what happened during that summer, what was their relationship like, and maybe learning what was the falling out between your dad and your grandmother. You're finding letters along the way, sort of piecing in some backstory for your grandmother and your grandparents collectively, because your grandpa has passed away. But it's just a very charming game. Like, there's from what I've seen so far, like there's a press demo that I got. It was about an hour long. Took me through the first 2 chapters of the game. But the writing is really good. I think the art is good. The music is very pleasing. And it's just the story. I want to see more of it. There's a heart to the writing, from like the central mystery of figuring out what happened and why Mimi doesn't remember anything at all until she finds something. And even just the flashback stories of seeing Nora and Mimi's relationship blossom. Like, I want to see more of that, especially as someone that can relate of having to spend summers with a relative when you'd rather just stay home with your friends, and trying to navigate and learn how to make that work, and eventually you grow to appreciate it. So that part of the game is singing to me, but it's cool. It's just one of those games that makes you smile the entire time, while also having enough there that seems genuinely captivating.
Sure,
to want to keep playing it. Yeah, and it's a game that hasn't had the most sort of public showings either. Like, I've kept an eye on it personally, but like trailers have been very few and far between. You get like one a year at this point.
Yeah, you mentioned it yesterday. I think you said you were checking it out, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what that is. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this looks great, but I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out, I think they last said around the summer, maybe late spring. Doesn't have a release date yet, but it's this year. And at least the fact that they're demoing it publicly at like big events is a good sign. But yeah, it's on my radar. It's definitely one I'm going to check out when it releases, because I really enjoyed my time with the demo.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
That sounds great. I admittedly was confusing it with Dwarf Romantic, the puzzle game.
just because of the title similar. Dwarf.
I don't know why. I feel awful. But which came out last year. For some reason I forgot that it had come out.
Yeah, I reviewed that.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I remember that. But yeah, well, cool. I think that's gonna do it for the show this week. I'm trying to think. We got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm really excited for our next cover is coming soon. We've got some changes coming to the podcast. It's gonna be a good time. We got a ton of stuff over on GameInformer.com, as well as if you want to support us, the best way to do that is to get a subscription to the magazine. You can do that for $15 a year for digital and $20 a year for physical. You can get the digital in the App Store, or go into and get a Power Up Rewards membership via GameStop. But yeah, we really appreciate your support. I do want to give a shout out to this week's podcast review. It was very short and sweet. App Store Nick B left us a 5-star review saying, Solid. So thank you, App Store Nick B, for taking the time out of your week to write that review.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it's solid.
Okay. I mean, that's great. I was waiting for more. Thank you.
It does help us out a lot. So thanks for taking time out of your week to go and do that. Of course, if you listen on Spotify, you can rate the show there. We'd love it if you gave us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Go and follow this lovely crew here on social media this week. You can follow Wes at LeBlanc Wes. It's LeBlancWes, and follow Marcus at Marcus Stewart 7, exactly how it sounds. And you can follow me at It's Van Aken. That's AKEN. And of course, go and follow Game Informer on all of the socials at Game Informer on Twitter and at Game Informer Magazine on Instagram. And go listen to All Things Nintendo, which is our other weekly video game podcast, all about Nintendo, if it wasn't obvious. And then lastly, shout out to Matt Storm, aka Stormageddon, our podcast editor. They are a podcaster themselves, and you can go and listen to their shows Fun and Games and Reignite, which is a BioWare podcast. Guys, you have anything to say to the people before we get out of here?
Don't play Crime Boss Rockay City.
Awesome.
Just a cautionary PSA.
Yeah.
I don't know. Be good people. Be nice to each other. Give someone a hug. But if they consent to the hug. Don't hug random people. Don't do that.
Don't do that. It's weird. All right. Bye.